Welcome back, everyone. I am super excited for this interview. I have such a beautiful and amazing author with me today. I came across her page and I had already seen her books everywhere on Instagram. And so I knew I needed to read it. When I read it, I fell in love. It was When Wishes Bleed by none other than Casey L. Bond. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. It is so nice to finally talk to you and meet you and talk books.
Likewise, it's my favorite thing to
Yeah.
talk about. So,
Yes. Mine too.
so you're in your car at the moment, and my first question
Yes.
is always, what's it like? So you live in West Virginia. Do you want to tell
Yes.
me why you're in your car?
Well, yeah, yes, you can. I live in a really rural area, and so I do have internet at my house. It's via satellite, and in the evenings it sort of slows down to dial-up speeds. So if I want to have conversations with humanity, I have to get in my Jeep and drive to the end of the road where I actually have cell signal. I don't even have that at my house. And then try to do that. So I'm in my Jeep. I'm just hanging out in a parking lot. So you may see cars go by.
I love that.
But that's West Virginia. It's quiet though. It is quiet. I'll give it that. It's quiet and peaceful. Like I said, I live way out in the country. I live on a farm. We have goats and dogs. That's all we've been brave enough to have so far. But we love our little goats and our puppies, and it's wonderful.
It's like the perfect writer's retreat ever, right there.
Yeah. Yes.
So, okay, let's start talking books then. Take me back to the start. Where did it begin for you? Why did you want to start writing? And how did you find the publishing process?
Well, when I was, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 years ago, I was sort of just hanging out with some friends and I watched Twilight. And, everybody says their writing journey started with Twilight. Well, it sort of did, but I never read the books. I was watching the movies. I wasn't that much of a reader at that point. And so I got to the binge the movies on TV, and then I got to Breaking Dawn 1 in the theaters, and I was like, well, I have to know how this ends. You can't just leave me hanging at Breaking Dawn 1. So I went and bought the book, and I read that, but just that book. I didn't even start with Twilight. I was just like, we're just going to skip that part. I've seen the movies. That's how much of a non-reader I was, y'all. I know it's like a sacrilege, but so I started reading that. I was telling my mom how great this book was and how great these movies were. And she was like, Casey, you've always loved writing. Why don't you try it? So I did. I mean, it's sort of the Forrest Gump story where it's I'm just going to start running. Well, I just started writing. So, and at the beginning, I knew nothing about anything. I didn't know anything about publishing. I didn't know anything about how to write a story. I just sat down and did it. And my first stories were weird and probably bad, and but that's how we learn and grow. And eventually you sort of learn, and you make friends who are also writers and also going through the same thing that you're going through. And so I would say that the beginning of the process for me was blissfully unaware of what I was doing. But then, I've learned so much. I started going to conferences and meeting people and learning about the craft, and it took off. At first I thought, well, maybe this will be a hobby, but I absolutely fell in love with writing, and it became a very fiery passion for me. It ignited, and I can't stop. Sorry, people. Sorry, mom, sorry, dad. I can't stop. I write a lot, and I've always got a story or 8 churning. It's amazing. So I'm super blessed to be inspired, after I think I've been published for 7 years now. And I started with a small press, and then I learned about self-publishing and decided to try my hand at that. And I've been really blessed with self-publishing, and so I'm really happy. So that was probably a really long answer.
No, that was the perfect answer. And I feel like it's a very familiar answer because I'm
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And it ignites this. I feel like there's 2 authors in the world. There is the one who kind of goes, we'll see how this goes. I enjoy writing. This is fun. They publish a first book and then they just implode with it because they're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Yes.
And then you learn how much there is to go, and you enjoy just grabbing more and more into information, and you network. There are other
Yes.
authors who I have full respect for who actually pre-plan everything they do and they know all the
Yes.
detail before they press their first book, and that's amazing. But I
Yes.
totally relate to your story. So how
Yes.
did you find, I think, I'm probably about 7 years as well, and I remember doing it and then hitting publish and thinking, now what? And then I realized I had to start doing marketing and all of those things. So how did you go when you started realizing how much there was to handle in the self-publishing?
It was a learn as you go process. It's at first it was like, you know, like you said, like you hit the publish button and you're like, this is great, it's out there. And then you're like, I should probably tell people about it. And you don't really know how to go. You don't want to be like, so hey, random stranger, buy my book. You know what I mean? But you also, you can't not tell anybody that you've written it. So it's like this fine balance of you know, figuring out how to reach people and reach readers, because you don't want to reach just random folks who don't read at all. So it was hard. It was a hard thing to learn. I think I finally have gotten the hang of marketing. I really enjoy it. And I think the best piece of marketing advice I've ever gotten or ever read is that marketing is basically like your enthusiasm and your excitement transferred to the reader. So if you're excited about it and you're like, let me tell you about what I'm working on, then they're going to be totally stoked because they want to go on that journey with you. Yeah. So it's fun, and it's not, I don't feel like marketing should be super salesy. Like, I just feel like it should be like, just super genuine, and you're so excited for what you're doing, so they get excited with you. So that's my advice, and that's the best advice I've ever had. So
I completely agree. That's perfect. I completely agree with that. That is such good advice. And also, one thing I want to focus on too is it's about finding the right readers, because we obviously learn to have thick skin, and it is something in the industry you will armor yourself with, because not every reader is going to be for your books. And I can't stress that enough. Right. You learn the hard way, because at first you do take it so personally. You think this is a terrible book, but you have another 10 people who love it. They're your readers. They're the ones that'll follow you on your journey. And it is an amazing experience because they're with you. Some of them are with you from the very start, and they see you grow into this amazing, flourishing author. And they're like a good friend, and they're just like, when's the next book? I want to know when the next journey happens. It's really encouraging.
Yes, it is. But I'll tell you, you know, I've learned a few, you know, quite a bit from some of the people that didn't, you know, really connect with my books. And it's when they tell you constructively why that I feel like you can grow. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like, yes, when you find your people and you find your readers and the ones that just love it and can't get enough of your stories, and they're always in your corner and always, you know, encouraging you or sharing what you're sharing or whatever, you know, that is it's such an encouragement to keep going and to stay motivated and to keep writing the next story, you know, better than you wrote the one before it, because you want to, you know, like if they're thirsty for it, you want to give them the drink, you know what I mean? Like, you want to sate that thirst. And it's just a fun, like, transference of excitement again. Like, if they get excited, it gets you excited, it keeps you motivated. It's just a good thing.
Absolutely. So one thing I noticed, because obviously I stalked you just a little.
Just a tad.
just a lot. I told you I was excited to meet you. What gave you the appeal of going, because a lot of your books are young adult, witchcraft, dystopian, of course, romance, of course. Yes. What gave you the appeal for that genre?
When I started writing, also, I started writing in multiple genres, and it just seemed like I connected more with the fantasy books and books written in worlds that might seem like ours, but were different, like a dystopia. So I just really found out that was my jam. And so writing the contemporary romance and the other genres, I was trying to sort of, you know, feel and see my way through those to see what I wanted to do. Like, I found myself in fantasy. So I just feel like that's what calls to me. That's why I like to read. So that's what I like to write. But there's just something for me, like making a world or making it different, making it feel familiar, but strange and maybe a little creepy. I like creepy.
That's fun. I love creepy.
That's fun. So, and I like young adult. I like writing a story that I can sit down with my teenager and she can read it and I can read it, and we can buddy read. And so that's what I read a lot of, and we'll read the same books, and then it's just fun. And I want to write things that, I don't know, I would like to see on a shelf next to the authors that I love so much. That's always my goal. My goal is to put out a book that, can stand up next to the other authors that I admire and read. So that's always a goal.
Interesting that you read now. But who are some of those authors that you want to be alongside?
Oh my goodness. I am obsessed with Holly Black, Adrienne Young, Trisha Levenseller, Lonnie Forbes. I follow Shelby Mahurin. I may be butchering her name. I'm really sorry if I am. But I follow a lot of these authors, and I cannot wait for their books. Danielle Jensen, Jennifer Armentrout is amazing. These are people who I look up to, and they're one-click authors for me, because I know whenever they deliver a story, it's going to be well told. I'm going to want to read it, and I'm not going to want to put it down. And, you said that I went from not really reading at all to reading now. I'm a voracious reader. I read a few books a week now when I can. And I hope that one day, every book that I put out, I really hope that if I compare it to a book, or if I say, if you like this author, you might like this, I really hope that people can see that, yes, these stories are on equal ground, or, you know what I'm saying? That they are truly comparable.
Yeah.
And not that the story itself is, but that the quality and the writing and the storytelling.
That definitely hits home, because I feel just as passionate about you in the same way. So one thing that you did mention, and I want to talk about a little bit, is that you love writing a book where you and your daughter, for example, can share. And so I'm a little bit curious as to what your family and friends thought when you said, I've written a book and I've published it. Ta-da! What did they think?
They knew I was writing, and they knew I'm a really open person. So I talked about it the whole time. So they knew it was coming. They were so supportive, and they have been so supportive through the whole thing. Like with my first book, it was tiny, and it was, when you first start writing, you're not as good then as you are like today. You know what I'm saying? You always grow and you always get better. So, but with my first book signing, like my family and friends and people in my community, like there was a store in the community that I had set the book in that invited me to come down and sign, and they made this giant cake, and they had the whole community come out, and literally I sold out of every book I had there. They just poured out with love and support, and they were like, our little town doesn't get mentioned very often, and you've mentioned it in such a positive light. We want to come out and support you. So it's just like, it's so perfect and so sweet. Like I never expected anything like that. I just thought maybe I'd sell some, copies to some friends, and then, but it's that sort of outpouring of love that, makes you want to continue on, and makes you think, well, maybe this can be a lot more than a hobby. So it was just really great.
And it gets you on that roll. Like you're like, I need to write my book. If you haven't already written it and then you're about to publish it, that's wonderful. I want to know about one particular book. So when Wishes Bleed came out, I saw that cover everywhere, and in a good way, because it's a stunning cover. And so I knew I had to read it, and now I have. And I'm obsessed. So obviously you are going to be one of my one-click authors now. Yay!
Oh, thank you.
Of course. What was the inspiration behind that? Because it's a very unique storyline, which I absolutely loved. And I love the main character, Sable. What gave you the inspiration behind that series?
I almost always start as like a book with like a scene that I have in my mind. And I was thinking, of this witch, and I was thinking about all the things that witches sort of could use to interpret the future, the candles and the tea leaves we sort of see at the beginning. And then, but I thought of bones, and how much more intimate bones are. And then I thought of wishes and wish bones, because what's more intimate than like one person's wish or hope for their future, or it's or what could go wrong with that wish, so I got to thinking about wishbones, and I could just see this scene of this witch and her bowl of wishbones, and she's offering it to somebody, and they snap it, and this bone starts bleeding, and she's like, uh-oh, I've never seen that before, but I know exactly what this means, and we're in trouble here. Buckle up. So it starts this huge story, and I just saw him and her so clearly. From the very start, I saw that scene with them together, and then everything sort of literally spiraled because of Nautilus. I'm just saying that from there, and it's I don't know. Every single book of mine seems to start with like one scene that I can't get out of my head, and then I just take it from there and run with it.
Did you, with the initial, because you do, when you enter into this story, it is her and her heart with her. These obviously aren't spoilers. It's the first chapter. You can get it on sample. You can watch it, read it.
Yep, it's on my website, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in her heart, and you explain the different kinds of, you can choose tea leaves, you can choose candles. Did you have to research for that? Because it felt very traditional. So I was wondering if that came straight out of your head, or if you did a little bit of research on what witches might have done.
I did a little bit of research, but I had a friend who was really into like, metaphysical things, and she always kept, certain candles, and she would light them for certain things. So some of it came from experience and just knowing, a woman who is very, very intuitive. And so it was just really neat. To sort of bring some of the things that I had seen when I was growing up into the story itself. And I've seen the tea leaves, read before. I've seen somebody read tea leaves. So I thought that was really interesting. And, but yeah, so I did a little bit of research. A lot of it's just, pulled from my mind, I guess, in my imagination, but some of it's definitely inspired from life.
Yeah, I find some of this absolutely fascinating because my great aunt Rose, she apparently used to read tea leaves, and I found I can't even remember where I found it, but she had a booklet. She had a cafe for it, and a booklet of what each symbol meant. I was like, I need to take this up. This would be so interesting. I haven't. But another thing I really want to bring up that I absolutely loved in this story was Sable's unique communication, I want to say, with Fate. And so I found that a very interesting connection, and you balanced it really well. There were certain parts that I thought, wow, she's written this so dang well. Like, it's just beautiful. Did you find any resistance in being able to write her character in that sense? Because I imagine on some scenes it might have been, how do I interpret this, or how do I angle this? Did you ever have any obstacles?
To me, if Fate was his own character in a way, but they had to, because they had such like a symbiotic relationship and they sort of depended on each other, they had to come together. So to me, it seemed like it came kind of naturally, although sometimes, when he pushed her, I was like, you need to quit pushing her. And really, I wanted to push back for her. But it had to be her. It had to be her learning to stand up for herself, and her learning to, become the witch she needed to be in order to do what her true fate was. Yeah. So
I think it was well executed. Not thinking praise, but I absolutely loved it because I have not read a book similar to it, so it caught me off guard in a really good way. One thing including in that, as I said, I saw that book everywhere on Instagram when it came out, and a lot of them were in book crates as well. So I want to know what advice you might have for other authors as to why you think those are a good idea in regards to marketing.
As a reader, I am sort of obsessed with the book subscription boxes and the book crates. So they're so much fun. They usually come with like a hardcover special edition, which you can't get anywhere else. And they come with like, candles or t-shirts or some sort of bookish goodies. And they go with a theme for people who don't know exactly what these are. And so it's so much fun as a reader to see these book boxes and book crates I thought, I followed several because I like to subscribe to them once in a while. And then I saw with Fate Crate, they put out a little Instagram post that said, hey, if you're an author and you're interested in potentially having your book as our ebook of the month sometime this year, submit it. So I did. So When Wishes Bleed was one of their ebooks of the month. Glamour of Midnight was one of their ebooks of the month. And then I submitted later on, this was several months, maybe even a year or more later, Things That Should Stay Buried to them. And they loved it. And they were like, instead of making it the ebook of the month, would you want to be our featured hardback? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. So that absolutely made my day. And then after that, the Bookworm Box approached me about having a special edition of With Shield and Ink and Bone in their young adult box. And then I also reached out to Quotes and Curses book box, which is based in Australia, and they wanted Gravebriar in their box for April. So I've been really fortunate enough to, see the post and get, my submissions in, and they've liked the submission. So super blessed to work with all of those boxes, and certainly hope to in the future, because I think it's fun. I think they reach readers that definitely have never heard of me before. And so it's a way, most of the boxes, when they announce the book, but not maybe at first, like they'll announce the theme and they'll do some teasers. And then, so when they announce you, I mean, it's a way for people who's never heard of Casey Bond and When Wishes Bleed or whichever book to start looking and seeing, what else you have and what you've written and why would, Fate Crate or Quotes and Curses want this book? You know what I mean? So it's neat. And it's like, as an indie, it sort of gives me a chance to get in front of people who may just read traditionally published books. So I really appreciate the opportunity. And I think 100% that if you see a submission as an author, you should take your book and give it to them. And because it's a great opportunity. It's great to work with them. They are so fun. Every book box that I've been in, they have been amazing to work with. The special editions are stunning, and it's something that my readers have really enjoyed. And as soon as I was able to announce them, they were like, give me, you know what I mean? So it's something that's, they're not going to be able to get again because it's a special edition, and it just adds that extra excitement for the book and for that edition.
I think one cool thing that comes out of that as well is a lot of the readers that receive those boxes, they do really nice pictures on Instagram and stuff. So you always get like a flood through of people who are reading your books and the beautiful photos, because they are so artistic in the way that they Instagrammers. They're fantastic.
It's amazing. Like, it's an art form. I don't even know how they come up with all these pictures and designs, and the layouts are just stunning, and they get more and more creative. And I don't know that will ever be as creative as they are in my pictures. They're so fun, and they're so supportive, and the whole bookstagram community is sweet and kind, and I just love it. I love Instagram.
Are Definitely. You on TikTok by any chance?
I just joined a few weeks ago, so if you see me on there, it's like, oh my gosh, what's she doing? That's probably me. I just learned how to reverse my images and stuff so you could read anything I was holding up. I'm learning. I'm new, so yes, I'm on there.
We'll have to add each other. I was gonna because I've noticed a lot of them they have on TikTok called Book Talk, or you've got all different hashtags, but a lot of the Instagrammers have also gone over to TikTok, and it's the same thing. It's so artistic and beautiful, and I'm so envious of what they can do, because I'll put a book down and then I'll go to take a photo and be like, oh, there's a bit of dirt on the table, I better flick that off. Like, that's as creative as I am.
I'm the same way. I'm like, and the videos are so fun. Like TikTok, I feel like Instagram is so pretty and it's visually like pleasing. It's just so aesthetically pleasing. And then TikTok, I don't know if it's just the people I'm following, but they're like, wow, and they're fun and they're funny, and it's just entertaining to me. So it's just like a different world, but it definitely shows personalities more. I think maybe a little bit, maybe just I guess like on video more. You know, when people kind of do the funny videos on there, it's awesome.
What's your handle so we can follow you?
It's everything across all boards should be at author Casey Bond. Amazing. So that's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, everything.
Fabulous. What would you say, another one of your books I really want to, I haven't yet read it, but I was talking to an author friend and I mentioned that I was going to interview her, and she almost died inside because she's a huge fan of your work. Her name's Shana Oldwell. I hope I'm saying her name right. But she's just published her second book. She's doing really, really well.
I've seen her book.
Yes.
And it was in a book box recently too. Yes, was it No Shelf Control? I may be wrong on that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I think recently, and she does the same thing. She does beautiful posts on Instagram, and I think recently as well, she did a post with yours too, with the is it Gravebriar?
Yes. No, you're right.
So, and I told her, I said, I'm reading When Wishes Bleed now. I absolutely love it. And she goes, oh my gosh, I love that author. I was like, okay. And she said, you need to read Gravebriar. So can you tell me a little bit about that book?
I feel like if you really like Wishes, you're probably going to like Gravebriar. It's not the same world or anything, but if you like witches and magic systems and adventure and romance, it's sort of like that. I sort of see it as like, if When Wishes Bleed and the Night Circus like had a love child, like because in the book there's like a circus of witches. So the fire breathers are fire witches, and the ones that toss metal and stuff are metal witches. And so it's just a really unique spin on the magic of circus. And in this case, it's like literal magic. There's a lot of I guess twists and turns, and there's mystery in that book. It's sort of like When Wishes Bleed, but it's different. I feel like it's a little more whimsical and playful, but it's the same sort of vibe, I feel like. So if you liked Wishes, I think you might like Gravebriar. But it's basically the story of a Gravebriar witch who the whole coven are healers. And she's basically, her magic lays in poison. So she's like their opposite. And someone in their village, in their city, comes up poisoned, and he's dying, and they accuse her because they know of her magic. So she's the obvious target, but she knows she's been set up. And the only one who believes her that she's innocent is the boy that they sent to kill her. So yeah. So it's like, wow. So it's so fun. So that's all I'm going to say.
That is my next read. Exciting. I might even have to get a paperback from you. Exciting. What would you say your most memorable reader moment has been?
Okay. I've had a couple that are super memorable. I've had so many readers who have come to more than one event, so I feel like I get to know them as friends. It's hard to mention. Everybody's like, some people like bring me scrapbooks and they'll like collect my swag and stuff for years and then give me a scrapbook of it because they know that you probably don't have this anymore. And I thought that was super sweet. So a reader named Tina did that for me. And then another one that stands out is a reader named Portia. And if anybody's read my Frenzy series, they will recognize Portia's name. And I asked her if I could use her name in those books because she came to me at a signing and she held out her arm and she goes, look, and she had an apple tattooed on her skin with an R in the middle. And she said, this is for Reap, and she had the chess piece for Twilight and a couple other things for books. And I was like, you just put my book on your skin? Like you just, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. And so she and I became really great friends. And I asked her one day when she was at a signing, I was like, can I borrow your name for this book? And she's like, sure. So she is forever in the Frenzy series as the main character.
Yeah. What an honor. My goodness. What would you say that your favorite book to write has been so far? And you can only choose one.
Oh, this is hard.
I love
Okay. Um, probably Wishes. But there's one I can't tell you about yet that was really, really great too.
you could tell us about it.
It's releasing in August.
Mhm.
August the 13th. It's a Friday the 13th.
Of course it is.
It's the only one in 2021. So I was like, okay, I have to release a book on this day. But the book I'm talking about, I can't say its name yet. I like to do these fun little title reveals. And so I like take a sign up and then I mail out stickers with the title on them to everybody. And then people take fun little pictures on title reveal day. They post them. And it's so much fun. And the readers just absolutely seem to love it. And they're so creative with their pictures. So I don't want to ruin that for you and tell you ruin that for them and tell you the title. But I will tell you that it literally, I sat down to write this January 4th and I was finished by the end of the month, and it's over 100,000 words.
Oh.
It was just like, boom. So it was super easy to write. It was nonstop for a month. And I've never written a story that fast in my life. So I don't know. I love it. I can't wait to tell you more about it.
I can't wait until you can tell me more about it too. I'm like, that's aggressive right now. I love the cover reveal. I've never heard of that. And I absolutely love that concept because that's really exciting for the readers to be connected. How do you select the readers you send that to? Are those who are in your Facebook group? Is that who receives them?
No, I actually put up a Google form, and I announce it on Facebook in my Facebook reader group. I announce it on Instagram, and I usually put it on my website, and I say, I'm capping this at the first 250 people or whatever. So have at it, and I announce it a day or two before so people can be looking for it. And then usually it fills up within like a day. People are usually like on it, and I close it back down and then mail it out. So yeah, but it's fun. So I do the title reveal, and then I do a cover reveal about a month from release. And then from the cover reveal until release day, I like to post teasers and swag that I have made for the, series or the book itself. And so it's like a fun countdown, and it's a fun, build up to release day. And
that's a lot of fun. So how far out would you say you do your pre-order then? Do you do pre-orders?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't for ebooks. I've tried before, and the way Amazon's algorithm works basically is if you don't outsell yourself like double today what you did yesterday and double that the following day and double that, then your rank will drop. And so I found that even if I sold my goal in pre-orders, my rank was awful on release day. So I decided with Wishes specifically, I was like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to drop it on release day and let's see what happens. And when Wishes Bleed soared, it went into the top 100. And I'd never had that happen before. And I'm like, I'm not doing pre-orders anymore. So, I do like a signed book pre-order, like in my groups, and I keep a forum, but as far as like ebooks, I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Until they fix that, I'm not going to. I feel like that's not really fair. So.
And that's a really, really good point too, because a lot of, especially new authors, don't yet understand the swing of the algorithm. And quite honestly, there are people who I dare say know a lot. I know there's people that know a lot more about it than I do, because I feel like you kind of get a feel for what it is, but we don't know the specifics, and I don't know who knows the specifics of the algorithm because it's always changing as well. But you are correct with that it does, you need to keep doubling, and that's really how you get the momentum for pre-orders. So that leads me to my next question then. What would you say your 3 top marketing tips are?
My top marketing tips are for me, and what's worked for me is not starting too early, I guess. Like I said, I kind of start about 6 weeks out with a title reveal and then hit it hard for a month. And it seems like it puts the book in everybody's, feeds for a month, and they see it and they see it and they see it and they see it and they probably get sick of seeing it. But it's there, and it's like really close to when they can actually buy it. So my advice would be not to start, 6 months away from release, because people are probably gonna be like, well, I'll just wait. It's 6 months away, blah, blah, blah. And then secondly is that, like we were saying about enthusiasm, it's like you have to be enthusiastic, and you have to constantly tell people why you're enthusiastic. Like, why are you excited? Why are you excited about the font? Why are you excited about this cover? Why are you excited about this swag? Why should they be excited about this? And something I like to do, like, is to send like paper swag out and stuff to my group, or if just try to get them excited and posting things and ready for the book. And like I try to put like the first chapter on my website and things like that, so they can get a feel for it. So again, that's excitement and build up. And then I guess another tip would be also just, you are your brand. So whatever you put out, like on the internet, on your feeds, in interviews, anything, that's what people see and are going to associate with your brand. So I don't do drama. I suggest nobody do drama. And I suggest everybody keep it kind and keep it, professional, and don't engage in like anything dramatic or that's going to cause strife, because you're your brand and people will associate that strife with you if you tend to meddle in that. So that is a huge piece of advice. I guess one lady I heard, and she was so brilliant. Her name's Katie Ragnary, and she was doing a chat, and she said one of the biggest pieces of advice that she had gotten was to just keep your head down and write. And when you're not writing, you better be marketing. Other than that, just head down and write, market, head down and write, market, and just to stay out of any of the drama that can sometimes unfold.
Because a good point alongside that to make is, and this is one thing I can't stress enough, is being professional about it as well. And don't get me wrong, I'm a very bubbly, out there person, but it is a business at the same time. And
yes,
a lot of people can sort of they take things too personally, or they can lose distraction. And so you need to just make sure you're showing you're a role model. For example, you write young adult, you have teenagers reading your books.
Yes.
You need to display the best of yourself. But also, one thing I do say for those who are heavy in social media, I love social media, I love engaging with readers, is really, it's a good way to authentically find yourself and really work on that, so then they get to know you. So for example, I am known as the traveling author because I travel a lot. Well, not now, I'm not with COVID at the moment.
Right.
People associate me with traveling or with, whatever it may be. And so I think as soon as you find that, that's when readers can start connecting you, or they know you're the author known for this, and you always put silly chats up or silly videos up, you're that author. So make sure you're authentic and definitely stay out of the drama lane. I agree with that.
Yes.
So what would you say your greatest challenge and your greatest accomplishment would be so far?
I'd say my greatest challenge is probably just, I don't want to say, I feel like I don't manage my time very well sometimes. So it's like, sometimes it's a juggle to find like a balance between writing and like, the daily things you have to do, and like the being a good mom and a good wife, and it's just trying to struggle to stay relevant on social, and like interactive with people on social. It's like there's only so much time in the day, and I feel like sometimes I struggle with like time management and figuring all that out. So that's probably my greatest weakness. But my strength, I feel like, is like I'm a very hard worker, so it's gonna get figured out. Whatever it is, like it'll work its way out. And so I feel like, you gotta work hard if you want this. You can. There's no reason anyone can't do what we do, but you got to be willing to work for it. So, I mean, I truly believe that.
I think too, it is what we do isn't a conventional job. So we aren't
Yeah.
going to an office, we're not doing 8 till 5. And so that's when self-discipline comes into it as well. Because
Yeah.
if you're writing from home, it's quite easy. Like I find myself in the cupboard and fridge more often than not when I'm writing at home. And I'm like a squirrel rummaging for stuff. And so it's just so easy to, or the kids are home or the husband's home. And so you just so easily fall into having a conversation, then 2 hours is gone. So it's very easy
Yeah.
to be distracted.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people do have the same struggle. And it just goes to show, like, your success shows how disciplined you've been as well with making sure that you get the job done. So that's quite admirable.
When I'll tell you this, like when I was starting this whole journey, my children were like really little. Like I was pregnant with my second baby, and my oldest was, like 3 or 4. And it's like, I'm not sure how I'm ever going to have time to write. Like, I'm really interested in this. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. And he was like, if you really are interested in it, you're going to find the time. Like, it may just be 10 minutes or maybe a half an hour, but you're going to find the time. You're going to get up early or stay up a little later, and it's okay. And we'll all support you. And they have, and that's literally sometimes how I have to work. Like with COVID, and like my children were home all day and I was having to help with schoolwork. And in the time I usually was writing, it was like, well, I'm going to grab a half an hour here and I'm going to grab an hour here. And you know what I mean? And it's just learning to adapt and find that time. Like if you want it, you're going to find it. You're going to make it. So, but sometimes you've got to sort of alter your expectations and schedule and, things you're used to. I think if COVID's taught us nothing else is that, you need to be a little bit flexible.
Yeah. And absolutely. Yeah. What would you say your greatest accomplishment in your career has been so far?
I don't know. Like, I feel like everything this sounds bad, but like, I feel like everything's an accomplishment. So anytime I hit like a bestseller or a #1 new release, that's amazing. But I feel like having a group of people who just really, my work seems to resonate with them. They seem to just love what I'm putting out and love what I'm writing. I feel like that's a huge accomplishment. So my reader group's amazing. The followers on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok now, that's just amazing to me that anybody, especially any great number of people would want to read this. And so seeing, your books hit a certain number of reviews and, you hit a certain number of followers, you're like, oh my goodness, I never, ever dreamed that, this many people would even hear about my work, let alone read it. So, everything's an accomplishment. And I think one of the big ones was I got to sit on a panel with like Jennifer Armentrout and CJ Redwine and some big authors. And I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, like what? Why am I here? But also I was like, yes, because I was thrilled to be there. So that was a huge one. I don't know, just getting invited to signings and, it's just like, I think every little thing is like a blessing and an accomplishment. So I don't know. I'm really excited to see what this next year brings. And I hope life can kind of get back to normal soon.
I think we're all on that.
We're all like, so there.
One thing I want to comment too on is you're a very happy and energetic person. And I think that has I genuinely believe that has heaps to do with people's success as well. Because when you're putting that kind of enthusiasm and passion into your books releases, and you're sending it out to your worlds and readers, I think it's going to bring you back a lot of amazing opportunities, especially when you're looking out for them. So I love how happy and how enthusiastic you are. And I think that says a lot as to why you are so successful in what you do as well. Because you're a really good chick,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
One thing I do want to talk about too is just a little bit is your covers, because your covers are stunning. And obviously we know covers are very important. It's the first thing that we see. Who are your cover artists? Do you use the same ones? Do you use different ones? Why? How's that process for you?
Most of my covers are by the same artist, and her name is Melissa Stevens, and her company is called the Illustrated Author Design Services. And I will tell everybody who will listen, the woman is magical. she can somehow, I can tell her like this weird, rambling story of what the story's about and what I want on the cover. And she comes back with like the When Wishes Bleed cover. And I'm like, yes, or I'll give her this ugly, like scrawled map that has like horrible looking trees on it and these awful things that she's like, what exactly is that? And I'm like, it's a house. And she's like, oh, okay. And she comes back with like this beautiful map. And so she's so amazing and she's such a good person. And she's just fantastic. She does my covers, she does my trailers, she does the like my Facebook headers, she does this, she just does everything for me. Pretty much if you see it, she's probably done it. Now I have started using some illustrators for character art to go along with the stories and so that I can print those for readers. And also like Melissa will put them in the book. And it's just, she does my interiors. I'm not sure there's anything Melissa doesn't do other than those character art illustrations and writing the book. She does everything else. So she and I work really, really, really well together. She's like the fairy godmother of book covers.
I definitely will have to check her out because your trailers as well are stunning. So now I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to check out Melissa's website.
Phenomenal. She is.
This is my favorite question to always ask. What is your biggest goal? What is the dream that you were chasing?
My biggest goal, I guess, is I would love to have a traditional deal at some point. And it's not that I don't love self-publishing, but I think it would be really neat to be sort of a hybrid and have the best of both worlds and get to reach people that I cannot reach as an indie, because I just don't have the reach of a giant publisher. So that would be probably one of my biggest goals. But beyond that, it's like seeing that book soar. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that if it's not going to be big and if it's not going to go far. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's a huge goal for me. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but I'm happy as it is. And, if it doesn't, that's okay. But that's probably the thing I keep in mind is one of these days, somebody's going to see this and they're going to ask what I've got next.
Quite honestly, I'm surprised that you aren't already. And I'm not saying that to be flattering, but your brand is so on point. So as I was stalking you professionally, of course, your brand is so on point. And so I was surprised and I was looking through your catalogs to see if any were traditionally published, because I thought you had been, especially with how well the covers and everything are executed. You've really got a bundle. So have you started pitching like to agents or traditional publishers, or are you sort of just seeing how it goes for now?
I actually queried the book I wrote in January, but so far nobody's bitten on it. So I'm just going to roll ahead. I love it. I absolutely adore it. And I 100% believe in it. Yeah. I think it's the best story I've written. So I'm going to stick with that and I'm rolling with it. Like I said, it would be great. But if it doesn't happen, I'm still happy doing what I'm doing. I'm still going to stand beside my work and I'm just going to keep motoring,
And that's one thing too, like, especially on this channel, because we talk a lot about having it on both sides. And so I'm very much similar boat to you, as I want to be traditional, just so I can see what it's like on the other side. And obviously
right.
The team there, the financial push, and they can go to more readers than you may have now.
Right.
But one thing as well is I do say to a lot of authors, obviously it's quite tricky pitching, and there are some people who do get it on the first book. But basically what you're building now as an independent publisher, continue publishing books. Don't be deterred by it, because what you're creating is a portfolio. You're creating your brand. So then when you do give it to agents and you find the right agent for you, they'll see that you're a consistent author. This is a long-term career for you. So right. I think it's very interesting that you haven't yet had success with it, because like I said, your stuff is so on point. But I'm super excited for when you find the right agent for you, because I think it will absolutely go boom for you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so I have a new segment. It's called Speed Dating with an Author. So you and I are going to go on a romantic date. I literally came prepared. But basically what it is 5 rapid questions. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes, I'm ready.
What is the clumsiest moment you've ever had?
Tripping over my feet and twisting my ankle to the point that I snapped a tendon. I am talented. I mean, if there was like a gold medal in clumsiness, this girl would have it on her neck.
That escalated so quickly.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like I was just walking and I just tripped over nothing, and yeah, it was unfortunate.
How long was the recovery period for that one?
It was probably a good, I was in a cast for almost 4 months, and then yeah, then another couple after that, so in a boot. But I'm good now. It's all good.
Are you still in the boot now? Is this years?
Oh no, this was a few years, this was years ago. We're good.
Oh my goodness. What are the 3 words that would best describe you?
I would say happy and creative and optimistic.
What song best describes you?
Well, obviously the Milkshake song by Kellis is like my first. But also Ava Max says she's sweet but psycho, because I talk to like people who aren't real all day. So those are the, can I pick 2? Those are my songs.
Those are literally 2 of my favorite songs.
Yes, girl. Yes.
What's your life motto?
My life motto is love hard, work hard, play hard. Like, we only get one go around, so do it right.
What is a unique talent or skill set that not a lot of people know about?
Okay, I have taken up archery, and I can shoot a right-handed and a left-handed bow because I'm right-handed, but I actually aim with my left eye. So I've taught myself how to aim with, like, hold a left-handed bow and fire it as well.
Hello, Katniss Everdeen.
hey, girl on fire.
Oh my god. So when you actually, have you had any archery scenes in your books? I'm assuming you have now.
There's something upcoming.
You're really good at this diversion thing. I'm trying at different angles here.
I'm like gonna steer you over here. Yeah, so yeah, there's something in the works.
What? So obviously you have something coming out. Would you just say what's coming out, but the information is very limited right now. So you do have a new release coming out in August, which sounds amazing. Yes. And you've definitely left enough of a teaser that I'm going to cry later, that I don't know what it's about. But where do we find you? Where do we stalk you? Where do we connect?
Okay, so my website is a great place to start. It's www.authorcaseybond.com. And then on all social media platforms, I'm at little a author Casey Bond. And so you should be able to find me on there. I have a Facebook reader group. If you just Google author Casey Bond, it'll come up. But it is called The Bontourage because I'm awesome like that.
I'm a part of it now.
Fun. We have so much fun, and I don't know. I post a lot in there. They probably get tired of me, but it's super fun. And I don't know. I hope you stalk me because I'm all about it.
What would be one parting message you would have for readers or aspiring authors?
Okay, so for readers, it's thank you, because if you don't read our books, then there's no point to us writing. So we need to, like, every author out there needs to thank you so much. There are like 1 million books out there, and if you choose one of ours, then we are honored and grateful. So thank you so much to readers and aspiring authors. I would say that, again, like, if we can do this, you can do this. You just have to want it and work for it. So, and I'm always like, I know people are like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to bother people, but if anybody ever has a question, they can DM me. Like, I'm I'm a normal human and I'm nice. I don't care to ever ask questions. If you're an author and you're wanting to some advice or have a question, I don't ever mind to help. So
Yeah, amazing. Well, I have had such a good time. I'm going to have to go one click so many of your books now and wait for that new one to come out in August. But thank you so much for hopping on today.
thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. And I'm going to love you and leave you. So keep in touch and be safe.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye.